Hello, 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 ladies, gentlemen, and everybody in between. Welcome to the Kris Avalon Show. This is your host, Kris Avalon, and for the next 2 hours, the Pied Piper of pop culture will be bringing you the best in celebrity news, gossip, LGBT news, and all the tea you may have missed throughout the week. I love you all. It's been a minute. Well, it hasn't been a minute being a week, then, I'm on Facebook Live right now, so I'll be chiming in and reading you all's comments as we do the show and stuff. I'm already alerting people that I'm on the radio and on Facebook and these things of that nature. But I wanted to get into, because we got a packed show today, and I was worried a little bit. I'm always stressing out. I literally was stressing out 15 minutes before this damn show because I couldn't even log online. And I was like, oh my God, I'm about to die. Like, I need to get on, I need to get my shit and all my stuff ready, but yes, we are fine. We're live. We're good. So let's just get the show going already. So the first thing I want to start talking about, okay, well, I'm going to get into a little New York tea right about now. And one of the things that's been going on is this whole situation that's going on with, earlier in the week, it was announced that Cynthia Nixon was running for governor of New York. And I know a lot of people were kind of having mixed emotions about it, including someone who tried to run for governor and didn't make it, Christine Quinn. How's she doing? Who she would be considered a qualified lesbian. But according to Cynthia Nixon, or her thoughts on Cynthia Nixon, she's not a qualified lesbian to be running. I don't know. I mean, what, are we going to have a pussy eating contest to know who's more qualified to serve the state of New York over the other person? Me personally, with my thoughts on the whole political situation, I'm just not up for anybody who doesn't have a large amount of expertise when it comes to politics, jumping into politics. And I don't want to sit and have to have a bunch of people, like a bunch of unqualified, or people in the sense of unqualifications, meaning that you haven't, it goes beyond just standing behind a podium at a rally and shouting and screaming, going, hey, hey, ho, ho, homophobia's got to go. Like, we need a whole bunch more than that in order for you to be qualified. I need you to be registered somewhere. I need you to be doing all these different things having your hands in different pots, and not just having a stance on education and LGBT rights. I need you to have a well-rounded view of politics in New York City, particularly things that's going to affect us down the road. Like, legalizing marijuana, we need to start thinking about doing that, so that way I can get a job as a, a weed tender. I don't know if that's an actual thing, but I made it up. It's a bartender who sells weed. Now, I loves the pot. I loves the green. I like things that are part of the earth. I can give you all different types of different cushes and things of that nature and teach you all about it, and get you the best strain, the ones that you can use if you have anxiety and things that you have, dealing with when it comes to pain situations. Because, I am totally against opioids and all that other bullshit, because this is the thing, like, we got these modern day drug dealers like this idiot in the White House, the orange bastard with the tiny carrot dick, talking about how we need to execute drug dealers. So I guess you're going to go into every medical office and execute every doctor that, oh yeah, I like the idea of bud tender. We'll call it that, bud tender. I like that. I'm going to use that. It's stolen, Dion. But anyway, my thing is, I guess, I do think, because, look, there was even an article that was done, I don't even know how long ago, I think it may have been a month or two ago, where they were talking about how there are more people in New York City smoking weed than anywhere else. And I'm like, and do the work. I'm like, duh, with all the stressful shit we got to deal with, particularly the MTA and them consistently being fucked up. That should be a platform that Cynthia Nixon should jump on. There should be not only that, but you need to think about, okay, what's going on with the New York City Housing Authority? Let's talk about, with a lot of stuff that's going on with the education system in New York, the fact that there's a lot of, the lack of after school programs and all this other stuff. So, exactly. I totally agree. Cause I know Alex, shout out to you. That's my film school buddy. Who's basically doing his thing. Are you in LA right now? Because I know he's been going back and forth. He's shooting a new show in LA and all other stuff. But yes, it is. I agree that in LA, it is nice to buy great weed legally and not be treated basically like a scene out of Boys in the fucking Hood. So I totally agree with that. So there's a lot of things that I think Cynthia Nixon needs to figure out what she's going to do if she's going to run. Oh, it is? Oh, okay. Well, then I didn't know it was called the bud tender. I just said weed tender. But Bartender sounds like a much more a better situation. But anyway, so there's a whole lot of things she needs to stand for. I know Christine apologized for her comments that she said in regards of calling her an unqualified lesbian. But I mean the lesbian comment she apologized on. But oh, okay, good to know. But she did not apologize for saying she's unqualified. And I do agree, like, okay, on the different level, if we're talking the traditional sense of politics, she's not qualified. And yes, like I said earlier, just because you go and you speak at a rally to help legalize gay marriage or, fighting for the education system does not mean you're a well-rounded politician. Because if you're going to jump into being the governor of New York, you got to hit every corner. You got to hit the poor people. You got to hit the black people. You got to hit the Latinos. You got to hit the suburbs, as in the upstate New York suburbans. And you got to go to the Nassau counties, the Suffolk counties, all these different counties that we have in New York. So it's like you got to check all them boxes and try to get all those people to vote for you. So I'm not going to go and be judgmental and all this stuff with that. What I'm going to say is that I'm just going to wait and see what her platform is before I can go and fully say to someone whether or not they're qualified or not. So, yeah, I'll just leave it at that and then move on. I'm not going to go into whole playing clips and all this stuff because we have a lot to get to in regards of today's show. So I'm just going to keep it moving. So the next topic I want to get into is, speaking of, we were talking about the orange asshole. Let's talk about his equally as ugly son, Don Jr., because I don't know, all them kids, they all look like literally the mothers of them, the mothers who Donald Trump impregnated all look like Sloth and the Goonies. Not the women, but just all them kids, them son, I'm sorry, what the hell? Okay. I don't know, there's something going on with the live feed and shit that's on Facebook, but whatever, I'm gonna just leave it be. But anyway, is you live, whore? Okay, let's get back to Donald Jr. and all that other shit. So, I say all this to say is that there's the latest thing that's coming out is what's been going on with, what's her name? Aubrey O'Day. Come to find out, because we heard early in the week that there was a divorce pending, so on and so forth. We didn't know why the situation was transpiring, but now we know. Basically, we had first heard that there was a situation going in regards of him splitting from the wife and all that other stuff. We all thought it probably had to do it because, they're about to crash down on him soon with the whole Mueller investigation and everybody that's been attached to that sort of investigation. So now the wives are trying to bail and this, that, and the third. But come to find out that part of it has to do with Don Jr. was having an affair with, I guess we'll call it loosely, singer Aubrey O'Day. And, what the hell? And she was on the Celebrity Apprentice. I totally forgot that she was on Celebrity Apprentice until someone reminded me, because I did not remember whether or not she was actually on Celebrity Apprentice. Because I would jump in and out of Celebrity Apprentice, but I just think like the more vile stuff that Donald Trump was saying over the years, the less I gave a damn. Or maybe I think I was into Celebrity Apprentice before he decided to become president. So I say all that to say, oh yeah, you told me bud tender too. I'm just now checking the messages. I'm all slow and shit. But anyway, so basically, Aubrey was going around telling close friends she absolutely had a sexual relationship with Donald Trump Jr. This is according to TMZ for months, but she strongly believes it has nothing to do with Trump's divorce. Sources closely connected to O'Day tell TMZ she had an affair with Trump, but it didn't start till after she filmed The Celebrity Apprentice. She said she has proof of the affair. Our sources say Aubrey was told by Trump his marriage has fallen apart and intended to leave his wife live. But anyway, so basically, what happened? Okay, so basically he swiftly cut things off with her and said in no uncertain terms he had to end the relationship and focus on his marriage to make it work. It also said that how the wife found out was because while he was taking a shower, this sound like some out of a goddamn movie. He went to take a shower and then she got suspicious and decided to check his phone. Apparently, I don't understand, like he didn't have like password protection or something on his phone or whatever that he would feel the need to have to like for her to go through the phone and this, that, and the other. And I know a lot of people were online calling her all kinds of whores and this, that, and the other. And you know what? I do agree. It takes, like, in my opinion, now I agree that she's a whore or anything. I do think that one thing about Aubrey O'Day is that she's an opportunist. And people like her career is not really popping. Like, nobody's checking for her musically. I did hear a couple, what was it, last week before this whole bombshell came about, that she and Dawn had reunited and squashed their beef. So I don't necessarily know if this even means that there will be a Danity Kane reunion. I don't even think at this point anybody cares if there's a Danity Kane reunion. I know I sure as hell don't. I don't care whether or not there's a Danity Kane reunion. If they decide to make it work, it's cute, whatever. And then Aubrey had the little thing on the side called, what is it, Dumb Blonde, that she was doing with the other chick, Shannon. Nobody cared about that. I totally forgot about the music and what it was that they was doing with that. So, I say all this to say, you know what? The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. The children of Donald Trump have always tried to follow the same blueprint of what their father does, because we all know the type of sociopathic prick that Donald Trump is. Donald Trump only cares about himself. They say, oh, he loves his children. He's this, he's that. I don't even think that's even the case. I think the children put a lot of energy in trying to get their father's approval. But the man is so into his own head and so into being this sociopathic asshole that they're doing so much to seek their father's approval. So I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna cheat on my wife. I'm gonna do all these things. I'm gonna follow you to the ends of the earth when it comes to politics and this, that, and the other. So I say all that to say, like, you know what? I'm not surprised that this whole situation is happening. What the hell? Okay. I was like, what the hell was that? I was like, all of a sudden, I know y'all can't. I agree. I haven't. Well, yeah. I mean, quite frankly, I would just say, you said you haven't watched them since making the band. What have they actually done since making the band? I mean, I know that they were trying to reiterate and come out with different things, and I know Aubrey was jumping on reality show to reality show. She's the only one from that group I know that's been trying to make a career. I'm like, the last show that I remember she was on, and I only watched like maybe 2 episodes, and I was like, okay, this shit is boring. She was on a show on the E! Network where they basically would stick, what is it, Famously Single or some crap that it was called, and that's where she met Paulie D, and they started dating from that show and that whole situation. So, yeah, that's the only thing I knew her from, and then at this point, she's been trying to make the career happen with the music, and nobody cares. And I don't care. So let's move on. The next topic I'm going to talk about. Let's talk about the Queen's Court. So the Queen's Court came back on Saturday, because I did tell you, I mean, not Saturday, last Monday. And I did say that I was going to bring up the Queen's Court and everything that's been going on with that. So the show came back as promised, and T.S. Madison changed the name of the show to the Queen's Supreme Court. I don't know why she changed the name, because she basically bought the name off of, she secured the name from Kaya. That's one of the reasons why Kaya's pissed, because, I guess she came off her meds and, she started losing her fucking mind. So the Queen's Supreme Court is what the show is being called now. And she didn't have one co-host, but she had 2 co-hosts. And the 2 co-hosts that she had on the Queen's Supreme Court were none other than Little Mo and Shekinah, who we all know is Tiny's BFF from, the show that she had on VH1 at one point. As far as the co-hosts go, I know a lot of people were online bitching about the way the show was coming. Oh, I miss Manny. I miss Kaya. You're trying to recapture what the dynamic they had when they were on the radio together, or when they were doing their show together. And here's the thing. That's done. Let's move on. Stop always trying to hold on to what was and just move forward. If you don't like the way the show is, stop watching it. People don't realize, like, with all this energy you put into bitching and stuff, it's kind of like The Walking Dead. So many people bitch about that show. I officially stopped watching the show not after Carl was killed. Spoiler alert, if you ain't see it, that's what happened. They killed off Carl. Boo fucking who cares? After they killed Carl off The Walking Dead, I watched one more episode after that. That episode was so fucking boring. I was just like, you know what? I'm totally done with this series. I don't care. I never tune into Fear the Walking Dead because I just didn't care about any of this guy. It's like, who do they have running the show? Like, to me, I feel like if you're going to do a show, it should have a reason to get, like, okay, zombie apocalypse. What's the end game? Like I said, I had this idea. I was like, okay, you do a zombie apocalypse. Somebody has a cure. The cure is put inside of this one person. He has to travel, or she has to travel from New York to LA. There's your premise. In between then, shit happens. From the trip you make from New York to Los Angeles, shit happens in between then. There's your series that'll last you maybe a good 3, 4, 5 years. I say give it a 5-year situation, but the problem with The Walking Dead is that they're trying to run this show like it's a comic book. The comic book can go on forever, blah, 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 blah. Yes, that's true, because you could always reinvent a comic book. You can always keep going with a comic book. But a TV show where you have them doing the same repetitive shit, like, they've been in Georgia for fucking 8 seasons. Like, at what point are we going to be like, okay, so when are we going to shop for a cure? Stop trying to build this community in one place. The community gets invaded. They don't want to kill anybody because we're trying to hold on to our humanity. But then when one of our own gets killed, a character people actually gives a shit about, then we want to retaliate and kill these people. That's the only time we care. It's like, it's the same repetitive bullshit. And I'm like, I'm over it. So I stopped watching. And that's why I said, like, if you don't like the way the Queen Supreme Court is going, stop watching it. Because I don't see like there's an issue. There were a couple of issues with the audio, but they're still working that out. I did like how they managed to take clips from the show and interject it in, so you could actually see the clips put into the show, and then they come out of it and come back to the co-host. Little Mo, I hope she's not invited back next week, because she had nothing interesting to say when she was on the Queen's Court. So I'm actually hoping that they don't bring her back. Shekinah was bringing it. Shekinah was funny. But they told me that they're bringing another co-host on next week, and they said it's a male. Who knows? It could be Funky Geneva. It could be somebody else. But I say this. Don't bring famous people or people who are attached to other celebrities or who have celebrity friends or whatever you want to call it onto the show. I think you need to keep it as YouTube or internet personalities. Bring them onto the show and have them give, because the way I do my approach, it's like I throw my little shade, but there's no malice behind it. Like, a lot of times I'm giving constructive criticism, and yeah, I'll throw a joke or two up in there, a little shade. You know, I like to sprinkle a little shade up, you know, in the sauce and everything, and all that good stuff to make y'all laugh and kiki and all that good stuff. But overall, I feel like once you start bringing people who are friends with celebrities, like if you have a friend of, like if Monica's in the news, and you got one of her good Judys as your co-host, oh, I can't say nothing because we're friends. Or if you bring on a Tamar Braxton, or if you bring on, like, if you bring a famous, and this is why I always say, like, bringing famous people on this stuff, that's why American Idol doesn't work. Because you sit there bringing on the Katy Perrys, and you're putting all this money behind these big conglomerates and these big names, that you wind up not with a good show. You need to find people who are funny, who have a great personality, who can find that balance between throwing shade and having constructive criticism, but bringing it all around and not having any malice behind it. Like when you go with Kaya talking about people vaginas is corroded and all kinds of shit like that. I mean, that's just OD. That's just really negative and disgusting, and it's taking it too far. Because you got a personal vendetta against these people. And then when the fame starts to hit you, you don't want to go and become famous, because then you can no longer roast and gag these people the way you used to. So my thing is, those are my criticisms of the Queen Supreme Court. I noticed it was the first episode. I'm going to give it a couple of tries to see how it is. I think what it is that you have to get comfortable with the people that you're sitting with. The first episode is not always going to be the greatest episode. You have to do something enough times in order to get comfortable, to get in the gist of it, to get comfortable in the skin of what you're doing. And then the more you do it, the better you get. When I first started doing, like, blogging and talk radio and stuff, I was rusty. Like, I got compared to Perez Hilton, which used to piss me the fuck off. But I never used to out people and all. Well, okay, that's a lie. I did kind of sort of out people, but I indirectly did it, because the only reason why I would out people is because it was the hypocrisy of it. If you were going around throwing shade and talking about faggot this and faggot that, when I know good and well that your ass been spotted in sex parties around New York City, and you do that, I'm putting your ass on blast. Like, that's just the way it is. So I say all that to say that hopefully they will find. Basically, they're doing a Kelly Ripa situation, which is it's a battle for the bench. They're trying to find somebody who they will be the replacement for Kaya on the new show. So hopefully they'll work out the format. They'll produce the show better. They'll be able to come up with better topics. I think the show needs to be a well-rounded show and not just focus on urban celebrity pop culture topics. That when I do stuff, I'll talk about the hood stuff, but we could also talk about the other stuff. Like, everything don't always have to be put in a box of what you have to talk about. If the shit is juicy enough, I feel like you could talk about it. Okay, so now with that being said, we're going to go from the Queen's Court to RuPaul's Drag Race. Now, season 10 premiered on Thursday. I watched it twice, actually, just so I can remember everything and bring about what I wanted to talk about in today's episode. And I actually thought the episode was pretty good. It was 90 minutes, 2 hours of my life that I'm not saying that it was a bad thing. I enjoyed sitting there for 2 hours, not only watching 90 minutes of Drag Race, but Untucked. I do like the fact that Untucked's back on VH1, but now a lot of people I saw on Facebook that are friends of mine were upset because they couldn't really see Untucked, and they were trying to figure out how they could watch Untucked. So I really think that VH1 needs to... There should be a way for people to watch Untucked, and I feel like what they should do is put Untucked on YouTube like it was for the past couple of seasons. I think it should be asked, or they should bring it back to YouTube for that situation. I also heard that you can watch Drag Race on Netflix, but I'm not necessarily sure if Netflix is showing it in the United States, or because I haven't checked my Netflix in like a week, so I don't know what's on there. I did hear the Roxanne Shante movie is up, so I definitely want to check that out. But with Netflix and Drag Race, I don't know if it only applies to overseas that you can watch it, or if it's in the United States, because I did say that, okay, they said Drag Race season 10 you can watch it on Fridays in the UK, or, you know, but also I believe that's also fueling the rumor that Drag Race UK, the UK version of Drag Race, which they've been trying to get that shit going for years, is going to be going to Netflix, or Netflix is picking it up. So, we'll see how that all works out, because I welcome different versions of Drag Race around the world. And I think that, you know, because drag exists everywhere, not just the United States. And there was an article that I did that I also wanted to bring up, because apparently Vice.com, I had to take notes on this, asked the question, is Miss Cracker problematic? And I found the article to be problematic because I actually know Miss Cracker. She is a friend of mine. She actually does the opening drop for this show. Every time you are on the radio and you hear, you are listening to the Kris Avalon radio show, that is Miss Cracker's voice that you're hearing on the show. I've known her for a couple of years. I've seen the audition tapes that a friend of mine put together for her before she went up on drag. I don't know who did the one that she did for season 10. It wasn't one of my best friends who did it. But he did the one for season 9 and the previous ones before that. Excuse me. That when she didn't make it on, and was doing like you saw the miming and stuff on stage and stuff. I know Miss Cracker, the article that apparently Vice was doing was the fact of saying that, is her name racist? Is the whole situation with that problematic? Because she's making jokes at the extent of people with racism. I don't think that, well, first of all, she's Jewish. Jewish people receive racist anti-Semitism from the Germans, well, Nazis. So there are people who experience racism in a way. And then they also asked, they were like, well, Monet Exchange must be used to it because they didn't have a problem. I was like, well, yeah, because, see, this is clearly written by someone who doesn't know drag and everything that goes on in it. Monet Exchange and Cracker have done shows together. They know each other on a personal level. They hung out. They're really good friends. So, of course, she doesn't have a problem with it. And then they focused on the fact they also got the names mixed up. They got, Asia O'Hara mixed up with Monet Exchange in the article. Like, you were coming at, first of all, they were all over the place with the article. First, it came at Miss Cracker. Then they came at Yuha and the whole thing. Which one are you? Because they had, like, different black girls. You couldn't tell them apart. no tea, no shade, but I couldn't tell them bitches apart either. Because first of all, with all them quick cuts and this and the other that was going on with Drag Race, all them bitches was starting to look alike on that fucking show. So, with Yuha making the little joke that said, and then, oh, she laughed it off. Like, doing all that stuff. It's like, y'all are literally, is it a slow fucking news week? Like, y'all were literally, the article was reaching and saying, is Cracker racist? Because then she would always say, like, oh, well, yeah, she would always have to establish, oh, yeah, I'm white and I'm salty and da-da-da, so on and so forth. And also making a comment about that, oh, in Harlem, they call her something else. And then Rue laughs. That was funny. First of all, if anybody knows, Harlem ain't 100% black any goddamn more. If you really go down to the west side of Harlem, there's more white people living there than anything. So when y'all are going to sit and try to push a narrative just because you want clicks and likes on your post, at least know what the fuck you're talking about. Because I've gone to Harlem. I have friends who live in Harlem, white friends. I have black friends who live in Harlem. When I go to visit them, I do see, even in Spanish Harlem, my cousin lives in Spanish Harlem, 110 in Park, in that area. I cannot tell you how many white folks I've seen walk through there. That's why I was like, you know it's safe. You see white people walking through there at 12, 1 o'clock in the damn morning. So the areas, and it's not because they're trying to gentrify the areas, because New York City has become so damn expensive that white people are moving to these areas because the rent is too damn high. And now, of course, you got the what do you call it? You got the real estate people who are looking at this situation where they're trying to move in on that whole situation. Think, oh, look, white people are moving in, so it's an opportunity for us to slide up in there and try to gentrify the area. No, that's not what that, no, boo. That is not what needs to be going on. These people moving here because it's expensive to live anywhere else. And yes, because this whole idea where y'all think that the sky's the limit for white folks and that white people literally have, they're shooting Rockefeller money out of their ass. That's not true. So that's why a lot of them are living in these areas. So when you have, like, when she's making jokes and stuff, and here's another thing. People need to understand that drag is a political statement. It's something that was created to go against the establishment. It's not supposed to be politically correct. So when you have these millennials, because I'm sure that's who these are that's writing these fucking articles, that are on here writing this crap about, or names like Ms. Cracker problematic, that to me is a problem. And the whole thing with that whole story about Miss Cracker also having the beef with Aquaria, that is true. It's not fake. It's not doctored for ratings. I mean, the way that the shots were being done is for ratings. But here's the reality. Here's the truth of it. Aquaria did show Cracker how to do her eye makeup the way that she was doing it on the show. That part is true. But she started adding little things in it. Also, what a lot of y'all don't know, oh yeah, exactly. That's like the South Bronx. It's getting gentrified. White people are moving there too because the rent is too high. There are parts of the Bronx that are really cheap. Washington Heights, there's a lot of white people moving there. There's a lot of that because people can't afford the rents and stuff. And y'all gonna get to the point where y'all gonna push people up to fucking Yonkers? Like, is it gonna get to that point? I mean, the train systems suck. That's why I said earlier about what's her name? Cynthia Nixon better find something, a platform to run. But anyway, so a lot of people don't know this, but like even the part with the scrapbook where she was flipping over the book and trying to come up with ideas for the eye makeup, she got that from Alexis Michelle. So that's a little inside tea for y'all in case y'all don't know that. So she got that idea from that, and that's what she was doing with that. But I say all this to say, you know what? This is not the problem. The problem with drag queens and stuff making little politically incorrect jokes towards each other is not the issue. My issue with Drag Race overall are these trolls that go on social media and start with their racial commentary and starting to post snakes and shit all over people's Instagrams and calling people all kinds of niggas. Like, I remember Monet Exchange saying last week, she said her episode didn't even air yet, and she was getting called all kinds of niggas. How the fuck you call somebody a nigga? You ain't seen the first fucking episode of the show yet. Like, I don't understand, like, these trolls. It's like, block them, report them, do whatever, but if people can't just sit, and that's why I was like, when I watch Drag, because I've known so many of the girls that have come on the show throughout the years, I don't take the show seriously. I look at it for what it is. It's a reality show. It's something that I laugh at. I take, like, it's an hour of my life. I just literally just not to think about all the stressful stuff, the crazy shit that's going on. So that's why I look at the show. So, and I know a lot of people are still pissed that, well, that just goes to say about every part of New York. Like, not just certain parts of Yonkers are pretty shitty. But I say all this to say, and it's the same thing with Shangela. Like, I know a lot of people, including myself, was upset about the whole thing. But guess what? At the end of the day, and Rue did say this when he was doing his little promotion for Drag Race, when he went on Watch What Happens Live, and he went on, what the hell's his name? James Corden, when he went on his show, and basically, gave the politically correct pageant girl diplomatic answer, which is like, at the end of the day, they're all winners, da da da, so on and so forth. And that's true, that a lot of the girls at the end of the day are big winners, because when you do that show, like, Shannon will be fine. She don't need that $100,000. She can make $100,000 doing other gigs. Like, she's gonna be slaying the club. She's gonna be like, look, she's playing Lady Gaga's drag mother in A Star Is Born, the remake. So, which something I'm actually looking forward to seeing now. I just need to see a trailer. But so she's off doing her thing. She's acting. She's putting out. She has a new single out. Like, she's definitely doing her thing. So it's like, regardless of the fact that you're on the show and you leave the show, you're still a winner at the end of the day. You're still having taken these opportunities to make something of yourself. Yeah. So I say all that to say, good luck to you all. I'm gonna continue to watch the show. And good luck to all the queens that's on it. I was kind of upset when they eliminated, I would say, Calorie Kardashian Williams. You have the perfect drag name on that show. That is the most funniest name I've ever heard. But someone was like, Calorie Kardashian. And she's a big girl, obviously. So it's just, that's funny. So anyway, let's get into, so we already talked about Shangela. Okay, let's get into the tea about Brandy, because I got some shit to say about her. So basically, something basically transpired between Brandy and the whole thing, where there was a baby shower that Princess Love was having. Of course, the Love and Hip Hop cameras were there, from what I heard, filming everything. And Brandy and her mother, Sonia Norwood, did not show up at the baby shower. So the whole situation about it is that I don't know why they didn't show up. Nobody ever actually said why they didn't come. Maybe the reason why they didn't come, and this is my theory on this, because they didn't really elaborate on why they didn't come to the baby shower, is because I think the Love and Hip Hop cameras were there, and Brandy has this thing in her head where she is so protective of how she's perceived in this industry, where she's trying to play as this wholesome good girl image, that she didn't want to show up at this event. And of course, Princess probably take this opportunity because she has nothing to lose. Her and Ray J's career is pretty much, non-existent. Like, Ray J's out here hustling, doing whatever he can to make $1 out of 15 cents. But when you look at Ray J and you look at Princess Love, and these are opportunities, they're on a reality show called Living Hip Hop Hollywood, and that whole series as a whole is tired through and delayed. I'm about to get into that in a minute, because I need to talk about Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and how the ratings are slipping with that. We'll get into that after I do this story. But with the whole Love and Hip Hop situation is that they're doing the show there, and there's been this big situation where, I don't know, I guess there's just been a lot of stuff going on. Maybe the fact that the Norwoods aren't fond of Princess, but Ray J loves her. So you have that situation going on. I don't know the whole root of the situation, because nobody's really explaining it. Maybe we'll see it play out on the show. I don't know when the season is going to air, but I guess it'll come on after Atlanta's done, because Atlanta just started. But so after the whole situation transpired, Brandy wound up sending out, she said she had a previous engagement in Hampton. I don't know where Hampton what? I don't know. It ain't the Hamptons. But Brandy sent out, like, shortly after people were like, Wendy Williams and all that was talking about it, she pretty much posted on Instagram, "Congrats to my brother and sister on their baby and baby shower. I'm very excited to be an auntie. So sorry I missed this moment with the both of you. I had a show." Oh, okay. It says it here. "I had a show in Hampton, Virginia on the same day, but I'm so glad I was able to push my flight back for the gender reveal the day before. There's nothing here but love, and no matter what anyone says, blah, 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 so on and so forth." Oh, I didn't see the pictures. It was, Dion was basically just saying that Ray J looks fat in the photos. I didn't look at the pictures. There's an article that was basically, what was it? I was watching on The View yesterday, where they said that when you're in a relationship, you tend to gain weight. So I do believe that that's true. So yeah, he's comfortable now, and I guess he'll see himself on TV and see how, because, TV add like 10, 15 pounds. So I'm sure he'll see himself on TV, see how fat he is, and he'll hit the gym on the next season of Love and Hip Hop if they're invited back. But yeah, so Brandy went and sent out that whole post, but of course, Princess Love clapped back by saying, STFU posting this, I should post what you just text me. And what I want to know is, why not post it? Don't just threaten, post it. Because my thing is, I don't understand how people need to go on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook and give condolences or give shout outs or to explain why they didn't show up to a certain venue or a family function instead of texting them. Like, you got the bitch text, I mean, you got the number, the girl's number, text her and say why you couldn't make it. Why you got to put it on Instagram? Because your fans or people are swarming your Instagram with anti-princess stuff that you feel the need to explain yourself to your fans, because you know what, Brandy's one of those girls that, like I said, she's someone who is very protective of her image. Like, remember back in the day when it was taboo when someone of her, because she had this good girl image, that she had gotten knocked up with her daughter, who I believe was like 12 or 13 years old, and the baby's father, she said that they were married and she wasn't, turned out she wasn't married. So being that PK, which is a preacher's kid, when you come from that whole world, it's like you have to perpetuate a certain image. And when that image isn't met, and then the fans start coming at you like, girl, we believe in you. Like, I feel like also, since she did that whole lie about the marriage and stuff, Brandy's career really hasn't recovered from that. Because at one point she was on top of the world, like the song that she sang back in the day. So it was pun intended. When her career was on top of the world and stuff, it was like everybody loved her. Like, she could do no wrong because Brandy was doing all this wholesome stuff with Moesha and everything else. But now I feel like she needs to step out. Like, I feel like we would love Brandy more if she was more real. And that's kind of like been my gripe with her, is that she's just not wholesomely honest with a lot of stuff that's going on in that family. So, you know what? If it gets ugly, it gets ugly. But I'm hoping that the VH1 cameras capture all of this for Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, and that we get the inside tea about it. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about the Braxton Family Values. So that episode aired the season 6 premiere on Thursday. And, of course, the whole show is focusing on Tamar's divorce from Vincent D. Herbert, as in her husband. And so the word is that she is upset because of her husband's portrayal on the show. And she actually wants a lot of changes done, as in she wants them to edit out all the negative stuff that was said on the show. Now, last time I checked, at the time when you were shooting the show, this is when all this stuff started coming out and the cameras were rolling, and you were pretty much on Instagram. Last time I checked, you were on Instagram talking about how, you were on Instagram basically talking about how your husband cheated on you, he had a baby with another woman, but then you go on and say later on that your significant other pretty much, your friends basically lied and said all this other stuff. That's basically what you were saying. You were like, well, my significant other said this, and not him. It was like, she didn't even check the facts. Like, she basically just went on social media and started posting all this stuff because you were in your feelings. And my thing is, why didn't you do your research? Why didn't you find out who this woman was? If they're pregnant, take a pregnancy test. I don't know how the whole situation works. I don't know. Is there technology that you can check the body, like in vitro, when baby's still up in you? Can you check the DNA to see if the baby belongs to the whatever? Or are you going to wait until the baby's born and that whole situation? Like, receipts. Like, you always talk about receipts and this, that, and the other. And then on top of that, like, I totally felt that the other sisters, like Tracy, Tawanda, and Trina, were in the right to come at Tamar with her comments, because in the first season, she was like, this dude right here is totally different. She threw shade at everybody else's husband, pretty much threw shade at Gabe, talking about he was a serial cheater, that Tawanda was married to a babysitter, that Tony's man was using her for her money, whatever money she got, because this bitch stayed getting bankrupt every 10 years. She filing for bankruptcy. So, on one hand, I understand WeTV needs a reason to keep us watching, and rightfully so. So we're going to focus on Tamar's divorce with Vince. So that makes sense, that we're going to have to beef up the juiciness of the drama and everything for ratings. But you were equal participant. Nobody put a gun to your head and told you to say the things you said about your husband on social media, on the show. Take ownership for what you say. And then to me, it just felt like she didn't seem remorseful and asked for sympathy because, I'm the baby and I'm the youngest, so I'm just now learning. But when your sisters announced that they were getting a divorce and they were going through what they were going through, you didn't share that same energy. You didn't give that same energy to your sisters. You got up and jumped out the chair and started doing that church lady dance, or you started talking, throwing shade at your sisters in front of an attorney when Tawana was talking about. So, if what's good for the goose is good for the gander, in my opinion. So, if you're gonna say something, like, you need to live up to what it is that is being said, and you need to own your situation, own your part. Like, now that you're going through it, I'm not giving you the same courtesy that you didn't give me. It's fair, like, you're fair game. I don't care who it is. This is why I said, like, when it comes to siblings and stuff, don't trust no niggas, don't trust no Christians, don't trust no family members. That's all I'll say about that. So, basically, okay, so, I want to move on to Love and Hip Hop. So apparently the new season of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta started, and now they're saying that it suffered a ratings dip because Jocelyn Hernandez was not on the show. I did watch the show, and I have to say I was bored. Yeah, I watched Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, and I was absolutely bored with the episode. Like, literally, I had it on in the background while I was doing computer work. That's how interesting it was. First of all, I don't think anybody cares about Erica Mena coming back. Like, she brought me absolutely nothing. Yeah, she's a little more seasoned, and I feel like that she basically wasn't turning up like how she used to back in the olden days of Love. And remember once upon a time when she was like, oh, I'm done. Like, oh, these people are beneath me and all that, so on and so forth. But I guess now that them coins have dried up, now she needs an opportunity to come back on. And I don't give a fuck if people saying like, oh, well, it was a contract thing. They said it like VH1 threat. I don't believe none of that. I believe that her career wasn't popping. Like, at this point, like, nobody was buying. I believe she had a clothing line. Nobody was checking for that. This girl, what is it? Erica sounds like she's gargling semen whenever she opens her mouth. So hearing her like basically trying to sing, that wasn't happening. Not even, they ain't the largest amount of auto-tune in the world that can help that bitch hit a note. So, she'd have to deep throat the goddamn, auto-tune. Like, what's his name? Chris Calley, he's another one. Another tired queen who's happy that he actually got an interview with Shangela, but that bitch couldn't sing either. That's why she wrapping her dirty ass thighs around a goddamn pole and still stripping in California. But that's another story. I know I just went completely left, but there was a reason why I said that shit about that tired bitch. But anyway, I say all this to say that nobody cares about Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. First of all, I don't care about, like, we had to wait a whole season to find out if Kirk knocked up that girl. Him and Rashida are tired. Nobody cares. I don't know why Carly Red's still on the show. The other one too. What's her name? The one with the family member, the sister who I think she's named after a designer that I don't know, these people with them names. The one who was I forgot her damn name. Tommy. Now all of a sudden her family wanted nothing to do with her a season ago, but now that they're getting 15 minutes on a reality show, all of a sudden you taking care of them? Like, I don't understand that whole situation. The show is tired. I think the franchise is tired. I was even bored with the Miami reunion, the second part. Like, that, even that, like, the only reason why I told you I watched the Miami was for Bobby Lights, and I love Amara now, so she's my girl. So and Prince and his little Queenie behind, well, flamboyant behind, we'll say that. But overall, I don't care. Like, this whole franchise is tired, and I really feel like this show needs to be restructured. I still would like to see an LGBT version of Love and Hip Hop and call it Out in Hip Hop. Like, I would really love to see people who are trying to come up in this business and make something of themselves instead of the same tire formula where someone like Mona endorses nothing but stereotypes, be it racial or homophobic stereotypes. So I'm over it. I'm glad we're getting the conversation going, but yeah. So yeah, let's move on from that. So I want to talk about Wendy Williams because she came back on the show this week after being off the air for 3 weeks. I must say it was great to see her back, energetic and refreshed when it came to Hot Topics. I like the fact that she came back with the Hot Topics and all other stuff. I was definitely feeling her for that. Her interviewing is really working my last good nerve. Like, she should have been, the week she was sitting there watching reruns of Lifetime movies and all that other crap, she should have been like brushing up on her interviewing skills, like watching how other people interview, take from their little things, because we all do it. We all take little things from here, there, and everywhere, and make it our own. I do it too. Like, I feel like, in a way, I'm a combination of Howard Stern, Wendy Williams, and so many other different people that I've modeled myself after, and I've spun it around and made it my own, because you have to put your own spin on your own personality. That's why people continue to watch the show every week, and people listen to the radio show every week, and check out my website and all that other stuff. But I say all this to say, she did an interview with Jussie Smollett yesterday. And she was basically talking about, because what I didn't know, because I remember at one point, I remember he was signed to Columbia, and I was like, well, what's going on with the album? Then all of a sudden, the album, some of my music came out. I don't know when it came out, but it's out already. So go on iTunes and buy it. She had said something that pissed me off, and it was basically telling people who are working a regular job not to, in so many words, not to pursue their dreams because they got bills to pay. So what I'm going to do is, because y'all can't hear it on Facebook Live, but on alldigitalradio.com, if you go over there, you can listen to the clip. I'm going to play the clip of that whole situation. I'm going to give my thoughts on it. So roll the clip. How many people's watching? Hit a like or heart or a thumbs up or something, because I can't tell. I don't know. The signal is like shit where I am right now. Or comment. It's your live. It's almost done. So that whole clip just bothered me as a whole, because once again, Wendy Williams just doesn't know what she's talking about. I just think that okay, I don't think it, I know it. Here's a woman who's like almost in her mid-50s, who has adapted this old school mentality of these are the steps that you have to take in order to make it. And if you haven't made it at this age, then you should give it up. I see this attitude all the time with people. I've even had people say it to me. Well, if you would have if you would have started doing your career at this age, do you think you would be here today? I don't get wrapped up in age. Everyone else does that. You're projecting your bullshit onto me and to everybody else. And for someone to do that, it says more about who you are as a person than it is about me. I don't care. Like, my thing is, if I'm going to be well into my late 30s, early 40s, and I decide to put out a goddamn album, I'm going to do it. So that's why I was going to use as an example Erica Jane. I'm going to use her as an example. Erica Jane started her career in her late 30s. She is now 46, and her career is really starting to take off thanks to what do you call it? The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I know who Erica Jane was. Like, if you're a gay man, majority of us know who Erica Jane was long before she went on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I was checking for her over the years. Like, one of the songs I discovered her was the Dave Ade remix of One Hot Pleasure. When I saw that video, she had the two gay men with the heels pumping into the club. Like, they cut the line, they went into the club, and they started doing all that choreography and stuff. Her videos were always on point. That's why I was like, Bethany Frankel, her little anorexic ass need to shut the fuck up when she was trying to give her constructive criticism on her music productions and all other stuff. She is a 46-year-old woman who gives you like sexual Barbie, that sort of thing. If she would have listened to these people about her career back in the day, she wouldn't be where she is. So I feel like if you listen to Wendy Williams and she's sitting there talking about if you're a girl at the checkout counter and you have bills to pay, then you shouldn't go and pursue your dream. What the hell is she talking about? Because at 19, 20, you have this revelation to want to go out and become a radio personality, and it gradually became a talk show host. Like, what if there was an age limit on being a talk show host? That you were like, what? Oh, well, we only allow people that if you don't make it to 30, then you can't be a talk show. Like, who is she to say? And she doesn't have the background that it takes to be a talk show host. She was from the radio. But now all of a sudden, now people are jumping into her medium. She don't like it. Like, you can't have it both ways. And to me, I feel like you don't need to have, and this is what's showing now, even Netflix is showing this, you don't need a major studio backing. You don't need a major label backing in order to make something of yourself. If Jussie Smollett has the money to self-finance his album, to put money behind the producers to produce, it don't cost a lot of money these days to put out an album or to get a producer. You don't need Jussie Smollett money. You don't need Oprah money to start a label. You don't need that kind of money to put out an album. You don't. You can pretty much pay your bills, but also put money to the side to invest in your career. That's what I'm doing. It's like between when I work, I put the money to the side to invest in this radio show. I'm putting the money to the side to invest in a TV web show, a YouTube series I'm going to be working on called Drinks and Drag. I'm going to be putting that show together and putting money together with that, with the cameras, the microphone, the lights, the green screen, the background, all that stuff that's going to be going to that. Yes, you have to invest in it. Like, look at T.S. Madison. She invested her money into the Queen's Court. She didn't go to a major studio. This is what you have to do these days. You have to self-create yourself. You have to create yourself. Self-create yourself. Okay, it's an oxymoron, but you know what I'm getting at. It's like you have to create your own lane. You have to put the money and invest in your career and what it is that you do in order for people to pay attention to who you are and what it is that you do. Because when Madison put her money into the Queen's Court, and Kai didn't put in a fucking dime. That's why that bitch is bitter, because you don't own nothing. And this is why it says there's contract, there's legalities, there's money, there's ownership. That's when you own something. Ain't got nothing to do, I came up with the concept, so it's mine. Like, that's not how that works. Anybody can snatch your dream in a New York minute if you don't have the legalities to pretty much put that shit in place. That's just how it is. This is how this world works. Learn it. Like, this bitch been in this music business for how long, and she don't know how contracts work? Really? Because she a hood rat. And you're not, okay, let me get off of that. Let me bring it back to Wendy Williams and her retardation with the stupidness that comes out of her dumbass mouth. So I say all this to say, if you are 45 years old and you want to put out a record, if you are 50 years old and you want to put out, there was a woman, who was it? An article I posted on my Facebook page. I forget the actor's name, but there's an old woman who's like 92 years old, and her biggest movie that she did was Black Panther. She felt like she wasn't a part of that. She couldn't fit into that whole world. And I was like, I can't learn a language and this, that, and the other. Her grandson had to tell her. He was like, well, you always talk about stepping out on faith and this, that, and the other, so you need to go and walk that walk. Instead of talking it or saying that, I can't do that. Now she's the biggest character in there. She's the older woman with the big earrings. I cannot remember the actor's name, but she's 92 years old. She started acting a couple of years ago, got herself an agent, wound up in a couple of things here and there, and her biggest role was starring in Black Panther. So guess what? Reinvention, as long as you have I'm going to say this to everybody, because I don't believe that. Like, I hate when people try to put an age on anything. As long as you wake up in the morning and got a breath in your fucking body, as long as you have that breath in your body, and as long as you can wake up every morning and that good man upstairs, a woman, whatever, the universe wakes your ass up, you can make your dream happen. You can go after your dream. You can pursue what you want to pursue. Don't listen to people like Wendy Williams and all these other people out here who feel like, well, at a certain age, don't you think you're too old to be a pop star? Or don't you think you're too old to want to put out a book? Or don't you think you're too old to pursue acting or this and the other? You can be whatever you want at any age. Who says that you have to be a certain age in order to do it? Because I always say with age comes wisdom. can't relate to a 15-year-old talking about love. What the fuck you know about love at 15? What do you know about relationships at 17? What do you know about relationships at 25? I feel like somebody who's been well seasoned and in their 30s and 40s who want to talk about love, sex, relationships in music and bring a maturity to it should be able to do it. Music, entertainment is suggestive. If you have, that's why I like people like Erica Jane. She's 46 years old. She's out here doing splits. She's out here whipping her hair back and forth, giving us all the things Britney Spears should be giving us, but isn't giving us because, she on them, got the little tick, tick, boom situation. So, okay. Just to wrap that up, because we're down to the hour right now. Speaking of which, we're going to go into our musical break. When we come back, I got some tea, speaking of which, on Britney Spears and her father wanting to see receipts on Kevin Federline's tax returns and why he's not trying to give him extra coinage. I'm going to give my thoughts on that. Ryan Murphy throws shade at Donatella Versace. I also got some tea on the Me Too situation. Russell Simmons is being accused of raping a woman and also threatening to have sex with her son. The woman's son, if he didn't have sex with her. I got to get into that tea. Cardi B gives her thoughts on the whole Me Too movement and the whole situation with that in regards of that video vixens are not being included in the whole Me Too conversation. I got some thoughts on that. And speaking of which, Ashanti has a Me Too situation that she's going to be talking about with her own Me Too situation, how she was threatened when she wouldn't give in to the advances of a producer, how much he wanted to charge her for to put, I guess, her album and stuff together. I also have a situation with Cara Delevingne. Remember her, the actress, model, that sort of situation? She's dating a Jackson, allegedly. And this Jackson is a girl. So we got a girl dipping in the lady pond over in the Jackson household, and I'll give you a hint. She's related to Michael. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Yeah, I said she's related to Michael, like that helps, but I'll give you the hint. I'll let you know who it is when we come back. Gotta cut the feed off of the Facebook page simply because we can't play music on here. Facebook will cut me if I play the music and stuff that I'm going to be playing. Speaking of which, I was supposed to tell you what the songs are, correct? So, we're going to play Todrick Hall's new single first with RuPaul called Dem Beats. And we're also going to play a commercial break and then come back with Jussie Smollett's song called Hurt People. So I'm going to cut the feed. We're going to do the song, commercial break, and the song. I'm going to come back with more of the Kris Avalon Show. So, okay, guys. So, yeah, I'm going to cut the feed over here. We'll come back with the show, and I'm going to get into more of the topics. I've also forgot to mention that I'm going to talk about some gay stuff, too. So, come back for that. Some love, sex, and relationship stuff. So, yeah.